Everyone thinks getting ahead financially means living like a broke college student, ramen noodles, and no fun. That's exactly backwards. I'm going to show you the best method that the Japanese use in their daily routine that we can apply to our lives to save more money than most people ever will. The Japanese are known for being incredibly organized, especially with finances. It's no coincidence that most Japanese people who come to work in America get rich quickly. You probably know some Japanese guy who came here, opened a store or restaurant, and soon became wealthy. For thousands of years, the Japanese have been tracking, analyzing, and optimizing their spending. And one thing is certain, we have a lot to learn from them, especially when it comes to finances. Japan is the fifth largest economy in the world as of 2025, behind the United States, China, Germany, and India. Much of Japan's economic success can be attributed to cultural approaches to money management and what we could call financial intelligence. In this video, I'll show you everything about the Kakeibo technique used by the Japanese that can completely revolutionize your finances. This saving method is perfect for those looking for greater financial control in their lives. It's ideal if you sometimes run out of money at the end of the month, or if you're working just to pay bills. What is Kakeibo? Kakeibo is a Japanese method used to save money. It works like a kind of financial planner that can be physical or digital, with tables to record and analyze income and expenses. But here's the difference. It focuses on the savings you want to achieve per month, not on the budget available after paying all your bills. The word Kakeibo in Japanese can be translated as household account book. The method was originally adopted by Han Motoko, who was born in the 19th century and was considered the first female journalist in Japan. Back then, women were responsible for managing the family economy, using available money in the best possible way. To this day, it's a method that remains effective for organizing finances and making you save money every month. How Kakeibo actually works. Instead of focusing first on what you spend, Kakeibo focuses on how much you'd like to save and what you need to do to reach that goal. At first glance, the idea might seem very similar to simple budget control. This is because one of the main points of the technique is encouraging you to record your income and expenses regularly. However, it doesn't stop there. The goal isn't just to record information and follow the budget, but to identify your spending patterns and reflect on important questions related to them. The most important factor when using the Kakeibo technique isn't saving money. It's knowing how to spend money more efficiently. That means prioritizing what really matters to you, and as a consequence, saving on what isn't that important. The process. The Kakeibo approach starts each month by recording fixed income and expenses. Then you must establish a savings goal for the month, as well as a personal promise that will increase the probability of reaching that goal. Your expenses should be divided into 4 categories. Survival covers food, transportation, and health expenses. Optional, things you don't need but decide to do, like restaurants, shopping, drinks, parties. Culture includes books, movies, and music. Extra, unexpected expenses like car repairs, accidents, and other emergencies. At the end of each week, you should check if you're on the right track to reach your goal. This forces you to know exactly where your money is going and allows you to make quick adjustments before closing the month in the red. It doesn't matter if you're tracking your expenses automatically in an online financial control system, entering numbers in a spreadsheet, or writing in a notebook. It all comes down to spending less than necessary. As you can see, the spirit of this technique is to be conscious, think about the future, learn, and be persistent. The Japanese cash secret. However, the Japanese have a very useful secret to make this really work. Unlike Westerners, cash usage is still very strong in Japan, and this helps a lot in practicing Kakeibo. Some Japanese people even use envelopes to store money destined for each category of the month. If the money runs out, they need to think of cost alternatives to survive. For emergencies or unexpected expenses, they simply withdraw part of some of their investments. In fact, for this technique to work correctly, the ideal is to eliminate credit cards from your life. Even though I don't know you or your habits, I'm sure your credit card is completely hindering your financial life. Let me tell you what I observed working in architecture firms over the years. The spending patterns were wild. I'd watch coworkers making decent salaries. I'm talking about $60,000 to $70,000 plus, constantly complaining about being broke. But then I'd see how they spent money throughout the day. $15 for lunch from the trendy spot down the street, $6 coffee runs twice a day, $20 here and there on random stuff from Amazon. One guy would literally order DoorDash dinner to the office when we were working late instead of just bringing leftovers. That's easily $40 to $50 a day without even thinking about it. Meanwhile, they'd stress about a $200 car repair like it was going to ruin them financially. The few people who seemed to have their money together did things completely differently. They'd bring lunch, make coffee in the office kitchen, and seemed to have this invisible filter for spending decisions. It wasn't that they made more money. Some of them actually made less than the constantly broke people. But they had this intentional approach to every dollar that came in. They knew exactly what they were saving for and what wasn't worth spending on. That's when I realized the difference between people who build wealth and people who just earn money. How to use Kakeibo to manage your money. To use the Kakeibo technique to manage your money, start by categorizing your expenses. Remember the 4 categories mentioned: survival, optional, culture, and extra. Then define your priorities. After categorizing your expenses, it's time to analyze which bills are most important and cannot be eliminated from the budget. The goal here is to maintain priorities and reduce expenses that aren't essential. The third step is analyzing where your money goes. At the same time you define priorities, it's important to identify where your money goes. This way, it's easier to diagnose your personal finance management. 4 questions should be used at this moment. How much money did you save? How much money would you like to save? How much money are you spending? What can be changed next month to improve? Look at the Kakeibo records and reflect to optimize your savings. The 4th step is having your savings goals well defined. You know that phrase, if you don't know where you want to go, any path will do. With finances, it works the same way. If you don't have real defined goals, you'll get lost in the process. With your financial diagnosis ready, the next step is creating a savings goal. That is, defining how much you'd like to save next month. It's possible to define a specific amount or a percentage of your income. The 5th step is repeating the process. Kakeibo, like any financial management tool, is only effective if put into practice every month. After all, the goal is to optimize money usage more and more and increase savings. So include Kakeibo in your financial routine. One of the main benefits is that with each month's record, at the end of a year, you'll have a broad view of your spending habits. Plus, over time, it will be easier for you to save during the month, whether to create your emergency financial reserve or to make investments. Break free from financial struggle. Here's what I want you to understand. Your life can change in an instant, and that change starts with something simple but powerful: a decision. The decision to no longer accept financial struggle, to no longer settle for scarcity. Your greatest asset isn't the money you have or don't have. Your greatest asset is your emotional state, your mindset, and the actions you take every day. I want you to ask yourself some powerful questions. Who do I really want to be? What am I no longer willing to tolerate in my life? What am I willing to do right now to change my story? It's not about having resources. It's about being creative with what you already have. Many people say, I would do it if I had the money. But what you need is to start asking yourself, how can I create value now? You're not going to escape financial struggle by complaining, waiting for a magic opportunity, or winning the lottery. You escape it when you become bigger than your problems, and you do that by committing to a bigger vision for your life. Life doesn't happen to you. It happens for you. This means every obstacle you face now can be fuel for transformation. What are you going to do today? How are you going to use the 24 hours you have to start transforming your reality? Because one thing is certain, you can do this. The Japanese method isn't just about saving money, it's about taking control of your financial destiny. Every month you wait is another month your future self suffers. Start today. Even if it's just tracking your expenses for 1 week, your 35-year-old self will either thank you or curse you based on what you decide to do right now.